Hey y'all, what's up? It's Memo, and I'm back with my playoff predictions. I know it's been a while since I've made a video, but today I wanted to talk about the wild card predictions specifically in a lot of detail. I'll also fill out the rest of the bracket too, but we'll have other videos in the future covering those rounds if you want to hear more information about that. I'm excited for the playoffs because there's a lot of chaos that's happened. The Ravens winning the Super Bowl. I can't believe I thought that. Insane that I would ever predict the Ravens to do anything. But also even teams like the Bengals missing the playoffs, the Chiefs missing the playoffs, the Bears being the second seed and the Seahawks being the first seed. Like, these are things I would have never predicted in a million years. But I think the season's been amazing. I mean, I wish the Falcons were here instead of the Panthers. But, I can't get everything I want. Today we'll be covering the wild card. I'll start on the AFC side. So with each of these matchups, I'm going to also be providing you one stat that I think is important for determining the outcome of the matchup. Let's start with what I think is a pretty interesting game. I don't know if other people think this way, just because I think it's just going to be an ugly Monday night game. But I think Texans-Steelers. So I'll start on the Texans side. The Texans offense, not very good. They do have probably a top 10 wide receiver in Nico Collins, and CJ Stroud is probably one of the better quarterbacks in the playoffs, but I don't really trust their offensive line. Jaden Higgins is another good pass catcher, but I would say their pass catchers do have a decent amount to prove, and their run game, it's better. It's kind of weird. They have a bunch of decent running backs, but I wouldn't really say they have one guy the Steelers should be really worrying. And the Steelers do have a good run defense overall. So I really think this is just going to come down to CJ Stroud and if he can really really take over this game with his passing attack. And we've seen it in games in the past. We've also seen them turtle. But my stat for you is that the Steelers have the fourth worst ranked pass defense in the NFL, allowing 245 yards a game. And even we saw it last week when they played the Ravens. It was pretty bad. You can see that Zay Flowers in this picture, there's probably no one within 10 yards of him. It's really bad. I don't even know how an NFL defense allows this. But basically, if Texans want to win this game, the Texans offense is going to probably need to score at least, I'd say, 20 points. And Nico Collins is probably going to need to have one of those, one touchdown, 8 catches, 125-yard games. He might need to have more than that, honestly. But Nico Collins is going to have to be the difference in the Texans winning this game. If he has a bad game, the Texans are not winning this game. I'll just let you know that right now. But I haven't talked about the defensive side of the ball, and their defense is amazing. They have so many playmakers on that side of the ball. They have Will Anderson Jr., Daniel Hunter, Derek Stingley, Kamari Lassiter. They have so many different playmakers. They're even Al Shire I didn't name, but they force turnovers and they also don't really make mistakes. And I think that's really big because the Steelers quarterback, Aaron Rodgers, he obviously isn't as mobile as he once was. He basically isn't as mobile as he once was, but he still could process the field about the same as he used to. And when you have a defense that's constantly making mistakes or giving up holes like the Ravens defense was last week, he's going to be able to take advantage of that and really keep his team in the game. And that's all the Steelers really need to do. If this is a close game going into fourth quarter, Aaron Rodgers down by 4 points, the defensive line is going to give him issues. The Ravens defensive line we saw last game is no real issue to Aaron Rodgers. But I honestly think Aaron Rodgers, he'll be able to get the ball out quick. He has his running backs he can dump it off to. He has his tight ends that he can do short routes to. I don't think the pass rush is going to be as much of an issue as probably other people think it will be. I totally could see the Steelers getting this upset, but I'm going to predict the Texans because I personally think that Nico Collins is going to have a big game. And I do think that the offensive line is probably going to be able to hold up well enough with the Steelers' defensive line. Texans' offensive line is improved. It's nowhere near as bad as it was in, I'd say, the first third of the season, where it was probably the worst offensive line in the NFL. I think it's going to be a lot of field goals because I think the Texans have a really bad red zone offense. The Steelers also have a pretty bad red zone offense. So I would say that it's probably going to be something 16-13, 19-16. And that's ultimately what I'm going to predict. I'm going to predict the Texans to win this game 19-16. And I think it'll be super down in the wire. It'll probably be like a game-winning field goal as the time expires. And I think it's going to be really close. It's going to be really ugly football, but I think it should still be a pretty solid game. So I'm going to predict the Texans to move forward, to probably play Denver, but I'll see how I predict these other games going down. Next matchup here in the AFC, this is the matchup I'm looking forward to the most. On paper, the Jaguars have the advantage basically everywhere. Like, they have the better passing game, in my opinion, due to having the better receiving core. The running game is probably a little bit worse, but I think the scheming is better. Like, the Jaguars' offensive line is pretty good at scheming for Travis Etienne and really opening up holes, creating big plays. Like, I think they're really good there. The defense is a lot better than the Bills, specifically their running defense, and that is the stat I have for you today. And that is that the Jaguars give up the least rushing yards per game in the NFL for the season. So that's 85.6 rushing yards total. And that Buffalo has the second highest rush percentage, which is at 50.55%. So Buffalo is one of the few teams that actually runs more than they pass, and because Buffalo typically is very reliant on James Cook getting them started, getting them into those second and medium, third and short situations, so that Josh Allen doesn't have to go Superman mode, throwing on 3 and 13 as you've seen in previous years, and have to do everything by himself. Josh Allen is essentially going to have to be perfect in this game, and I think that the Jaguars' offense has been super consistent. They are constantly putting up good amounts of points versus bad teams and also versus good teams too. Like, they put up a lot of points against the Broncos. Like, they have the talent on offense to be able to survive any shootout, and their defense is opportunistic and they force a bunch of turnovers. Josh Allen is going to basically have to throw 3 or 4 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, 300 yards. I think he's going to have one of those vintage Josh Allen playoff performances, which he's totally capable of doing. But I really like that the Jaguars are at home in this matchup. I really like the ball that Trevor Lawrence has been playing recently. And I really do not like the Bills' rushing defense in this matchup. And I think that Liam Cohen and Travis Etienne and the offensive line is really going to be able to take advantage of that. So I don't even think this game is going to particularly be that close. So I would say that the Jaguars are going to win 31-20 to the Bills. So let's move the Jaguars along. Okay, so our final AFC matchup is Chargers-Patriots. I'll just start you off with the stat right now. The Patriots are 24th in sacks, and the Chargers are second in sacks allowed. So essentially, the Patriots don't have that insane of a pass rush. They don't really have a pass rusher that I would personally be scared of if I was the Chargers offensive line. Well, maybe I would be because the Chargers offensive line is terrible, but Justin Herbert is probably not going to be under duress, taking 5, 6, 7, 8 sacks a game, or sacks this game. If the Patriots can get to him and maybe force some turnovers or force him some pressures to throw for some interceptions, I think that's really going to be the difference in this game. I do really like Drake May for this team, but I do think the Chargers definitely could give him issues. The Chargers defense, especially against their deep coverage specifically, which is where Drake May is really good at a lot of the time, especially his connection with Kayshon Boutte specifically. Their deep coverage is really good if you ignore those 2 plays that happened against the Texans recently, but usually their deep coverage is really good. So I don't think that should be a concern. In order for the Patriots to win this game, Travion Henderson and Ramondre Stevenson, at least one of them is going to need to have a big game. And for the most part, that has been happening. There are times where Travion Henderson specifically will be very inconsistent. Sometimes he'll have a 2 yards per carry game and not really get much going. Other times he'll still have that, but then he'll get a random 50-yard explosive touchdown. And the Chargers usually don't allow explosive runs or explosive pass plays. So I think on paper that favors the Chargers. But I think as cliche as it is, I feel like I can't predict the Chargers to win this game until I see Justin Herbert really actually have one of those vintage playoff performances and not throw 4 interceptions or not get sacked a billion times or not blow a 27-0 lead. Like, usually I don't like this, but I got to see it in the playoffs mentality. But with him, I feel like, especially that he's on the road going into Foxborough in probably really cold weather, I really don't like this matchup for him. I feel like it's a fine matchup overall. Without Joe Alt and without Slater, am concerned about Chargers offense, even though that the Patriots don't have an insane passing attack. They also don't have an insane receiver core. Patriots have Gonzalez and some other good corners. But I think that the Patriots should still probably win this game, even with like the defense being really good for the Chargers. I would say the Patriots probably win. I think they'll comfortably win. I know that the Patriots have had like a pretty easy, not even pretty, historically easy schedule, like Mickey Mouse schedule or whatever you want to say. But the Patriots, I think, should comfortably win this game. I'm not very high on the Chargers. I think they're too injured to really do anything. And their defense is pretty good. I just don't trust their offense. So I think the Patriots should win by 2 scores. I would say 27-17 is what I'll predict for Patriots-Chargers. All right, so we got Rams versus Panthers. This should have been the fucking Falcons, but Raheem Morris is a terrorist, so it is what it is. But Rams versus Panthers. So the Rams offense is still good. It's been worse without Devontae Adams, but they will have him back for this game, and that should be good. So that will be good. The rushing attack is good still. They have the Kyron Williams and Blake Corum, two really good running backs in Sean McVay's system. Their offensive line is very good, especially pass blocking. Run blocking is also really good too. So I would just say they have a really good offensive line. Puka Nacua is arguably the best receiver in the NFL, and he could change any game he plays. Their defense, their run defense has been fine, honestly, still, aside from that. They played really bad versus the Falcons, but that's Bijan, so it's understandable. But their pass defense is a major concern, though, and their secondary is very questionable. I think it's their biggest weakness. I don't really have a specific stat for this game because the Rams are just overwhelming favorites against the Panthers, and they should win by 3 scores. But I know this is Carolina, and Carolina has been like that underdog, been that wild card. They're literally in the wild card, but they've been that wild card team the whole year where you'd have no idea what to expect from them. I'll give you a little bit of a stat. It's not like an official stat, but I'll give you a little something, which is that if the Panthers can't get the run going like they haven't been able to over the past few games, if we get like a Rico Dowdle and Chuba Hubbard combining for 40 rushing yards type of game, they're going to lose by 3 scores. Because I just do not think that Bryce Young has the ability to dissect the Rams defense in a playoff setting. I think that he did do it once in the regular season, but I just can't see with Sean McVay Rams having a week to prepare for this matchup that happening again. And there are too many times where we'll see Bryce Young, he'll have expectations to do something, he'll throw for like 100 passing yards. In the Seahawks game, it's 54 passing yards. There's just too many times where he'll just turtle up and just become useless, for lack of a better word. I do like the Panthers defense a decent amount, especially with Derek Brown. Like they do with Derek Brown, they have a good run defense. And I don't think that Kyron or Corum is talented enough to really take advantage and like fully explode for like 150 yard rushing game or like have some masterclass on the ground. So I do think that they have a chance to win this game if the run game for the Panthers can get going. And if Ted McMillan could have one of those big games like he did versus the Falcons. I can't predict the Panthers. The Rams, I thought, were the best team in football for most of the season until like this last like quarter of the year. I think it'll be close. I think it'll be like uncomfortably close. Like I could see Carolina getting like a lead, the fans going crazy, getting up, being super up, and then the Stafford having to like kind of have comeback, throw like dots to Puka, throw dots to Devontae, throw dots to Ferguson. I'm gonna say the Rams win by 1 score. I think it will be pretty high scoring just because I think both defenses are flawed. Like I don't trust the Panthers passing defense much. Like JC Horn isn't scaring me at all. Like I don't really trust any of their linebackers that much. So I would say Rams 29-27. That'll be my final prediction. I think it'll be very close. I think the Rams will move on. So for the next game, we have what I think will be a very interesting game. I hope both of these teams lose. I hate both of these teams. We have the Niners and the Eagles. The 49ers, I'm kind of shocked they're even here just because of how injured they are, especially defensively, and even their offensive weapons. Like I don't think Trent Williams is going to play this game. Okay, so maybe Trent Williams will play this game. My stat for you for this game is that every single linebacker that made the 53-man roster for the Niners, especially or most notably Fred Warner, they're all injured. And Philadelphia has the 6th highest rush percentage in the NFL at 47.33%. They had Saquon Barkley, and I know that Saquon has been pretty middling this year, and that Patullo is terrible and really can't get him going, and the offensive line has had its struggles. But Kenneth Walker and Zach Charbonnet both had good games for them. So Kenneth Walker had 97 total yards, Charbonnet had 74 and a touchdown in a 13-3 game. Like, this wasn't even that high scoring of a game. If these two can get going, and they are not super talented, I think that the Eagles can get Saquon going. Maybe it's not for, like, one of those crazy, like, 200-yard games like he had versus the Rams last postseason, but we could say, like, a 2-touchdown, 150-yard game. Like, that could totally happen. And the Eagles' offensive line, to my knowledge, is mostly healthy. I know they have Lane Johnson back, so that should be helpful, good for them. And that the 49ers have no linebackers, and they don't really have a defensive line without Nick Bosa. I'm not really scared of that defensive line at all. The Eagles should be able to actually get the ball moving in this matchup, and I think Patullo will be able to actually do something for once in his life against this defense, because I think 49ers might have the worst defense left in the playoffs. So I think this is a good matchup on that side of the ball. And then another good thing for the Eagles is that the 49ers offense, in the streak where they've had a lot of points scored and not a lot of punting, they've only really played bad defenses besides last week where they only put up 3 points. The Eagles have one of the most talented defenses in the NFL, and the 49ers, it's easier to stop CMC and easier to stop Kittle and easier to stop Jennings than it's easier said than done, but the Eagles are very well equipped to do it. The Eagles have an amazing run defense with Jalen Carter and Phillips and Nolan Smith coming back, so I'm not really worried about that side. And the passing, they have Cooper DeJean, Quinyon Mitchell. Like, I'm not really concerned about the 49ers receivers. I'm not concerned about, like, Kendrick Bourne. I'm not concerned about whoever else is the receiving. I don't even remember. Like, Kendrick Bourne. Ricky Pearsall, I don't even think is playing. I'm not concerned about Jawan Jennings in terms of, like, this Eagles secondary. I think it's going to be, like, a mid-tier-ish scoring game. I could see the 49ers potentially winning if Patullo, like, really shows out and has one of his master classes of like 6 points, like 2 completions in the second half, like one of those types of games. But I just don't see that happening versus the 49ers. So I think the Eagles will win this pretty comfortably. I'm going to say the Eagles win 35-35. That's too many points. That's Patullo. I need to calm down. Eagles win 28-15. That'll be my final prediction. So Eagles will advance there. And the final matchup that I'll be talking about in detail today, and the matchup that I'm personally the most excited for, is Bears-Packers. And yes, the Bears are at home versus the Packers, which is crazy to me based on what I was predicting earlier this season. My stat for you is that it's kind of hard to make stats when on these divisional games, especially with a rivalry like this one. But my stat for you is that the Bears have the 6th worst rush defense, allowing 136.2 rushing yards per game. However, this may not matter because Josh Jacobs is inconsistent as fuck. And we have no idea which Josh Jacobs we're going to get in this game. Sometimes he'll have a really good game. He'll have like a 2 touchdown, maybe 2 receiving yard touchdown, or like have like a receiving yard touchdown and a rushing touchdown and have like 100 yards, or have like some really, really good game. And that's something that we would make you think that Josh Jacobs is one of the top running backs. And then other times he'll have, 3 total yards in a game. We just don't really know which Josh Jacobs we're going to get. I really think that is going to determine this matchup. The Bears offense usually starts out slow, but I would say that I can mostly trust the Bears offense. And the fact that Rome Odunze, I believe, is coming back for this game, that will really help them. So Rome Odunze coming back will take pressure off Luther Burden, take pressure off Colson Loveland. So those receivers are probably likely to have even bigger games, I think, with Rome Odunze coming back and more attention focused on to him. So I really like the Bears offense in this matchup. I really like that their run game specifically. I think that Swift and Monungai, along with the Bears, which is crazy to say this, but they're good offensive line. I think that the Bears will be able to really get a lot of points going in this game. One thing that is concerning is that this game might snow. So Bears-Packers could potentially snow. And if that is the case, all the analysis I just said goes out the window. But the run game should still probably translate. And we saw what Derrick Henry did to the Packers 2 weeks ago. And that was unholy amounts of tomfoolery that occurred. 4 touchdowns in a game is ridiculous. So I cannot in any world, and I know it's Derrick Henry, but I cannot in any world trust the Packers' run defense. The thing that concerns me about the Bears, though, they played twice earlier in this season, and the Packers won, and the Packers won one of the games, and in the most recent game, without Micah Parsons, I believe, without Micah Parsons, the Bears got off to a slow start. They had a 10-point hole, and they had to have a miraculous comeback, including an onside kick. And I just really don't think that is sustainable. And the Bears also have a turnover. They're kind of like a mini version of the Steelers, where if the Bears aren't forcing hella turnovers, and they are very beatable. I told you the stat earlier. They allow 136 on the ground. They allow hella through the air too. And Jordan Love and the Packers offense, if Josh Jacobs can get going, they are going to be hard for the Bears defense to contain. Even with the Zach Tom injury, even with the Tucker Kraft injury, I think the Packers offense still can get it going against this Bears secondary, which is very turnover reliant. I still do think the Bears will win this game, just predominantly on the rushing side of things, and predominantly with Rome Odunze being back, there's just going to be less pressure focused on the other 2 receivers and the tight end. So I think the Bears will still win this game. This is the one I'm probably the least confident in. If Josh Jacobs is able to have one of those amazing games, I think the Packers will win this game. But I think with this being at Soldier Field, with it being snowy, with the Bears being basically just house money, they don't really have much to prove. I think that the Bears, they always do it. You always think they're going to you always think they're going to lose. You always see them down 2 scores. You see them just kind of struggling 3 quarters. You think this is a fraud team. They're gonna bow out. They're gonna lose. They're gonna get embarrassed, and then they just kind of win. And I think it's gonna happen again. I think the Packers will be winning most of this game. I think the Packers are gonna be winning most of this game. But I could see the Bears really edging it out at the very end. And I think they're going to win 23-21 on a game-winning field goal. That's what I think is going to happen. And I know it's crazy to predict the Bears winning on a game-winning field goal. But I really believe, I think this is the year. The Bears beat the Packers. Bears own this rivalry. And Matthew Golden eats shit. I think this will be that year for them. Okay, so now that we're here, so I predicted the Texans, Jags, Patriots, Rams, Eagles, and Bears to win the matchups. Just because we don't know if these four divisional matchups will actually happen or not, I will give you a Super Bowl prediction still, and with just less analysis. So With Houston versus Denver, I know they played earlier in the year, and Denver already won that matchup. And I think it's going to go largely the same. I think it's going to be really hard for Houston to play in Mile High Stadium and really hard for Houston's offense to get anything going. Denver's offense, I think, is a little bit better than Houston's offense, even though the defenses are comparable. So I think Denver will win this game. Then we have Jacksonville versus New England. I don't necessarily like that this is a road game for the Jaguars, but I do think that Jacksonville's offense is more consistent and that they could definitely force the turnovers on Drake May. I do like that their run offense is really good, and that the Patriots' run defense has not been as good recently, and that Patriots also have a very inconsistent running game. I think that the Jaguars honestly could make this upset, and that's what I'm going to pick. I'm going to pick Jaguars to make this upset because I really do believe in this season. Jaguars are playing amazing right now, and I think they're actually going to make this run to the conference finals. Rams-Seahawks is probably the hardest one in here for me to predict. On paper, the Seahawks should win this game, and they split the season series. Sam Darnold could turn into like McDonald's or whatever and throw 4 picks, but I just don't think that's going to happen at his home field. And I really just do like that the Seahawks defense is so good, and I think that they really are going to be one of the few defenses that does cause Matthew Stafford trouble. I think if this game is close, that the Seahawks will be able to ultimately prevail. As long as Sam Darnold doesn't throw like 4 picks, I think the Seahawks should win this game. Then Eagles-Bears, I get that the Eagles' defensive line had injuries versus the Bears' run game, but it was just so telling to see how bad the Eagles' offense specifically was against the Bears' defense, with like largely the same personnel. Patullo may have been able to survive one round against the 49ers defense, who is very, very questionable. And the Bears' defense is still questionable, but Patullo, I just don't see them being able to keep up with the Bears' offensive attack, especially if it's in Chicago. So I think the Bears will win this game and make it to the conference finals. And then we have conference championships. So Jaguars versus Denver. I know that the Jaguars won the previous game, but I really believe in Denver's defense. And I think that this will be where the Cinderella story for the Jaguars ends. I really like the Jaguars defense. Broncos defense. I do not like the Broncos offense that much, but I really do think that this will be the game where Trevor Lawrence throws like 2 interceptions, kind of returns to that quarterback that we were used to previously. And I do think that the Broncos are going to be motivated to beat the Jaguars from last time. I think that I would not be surprised at all if the Jaguars win this game, but I really do like this being in Mile High, and I know it was in Mile High last game, but I think it's just going to be such a big advantage in the playoffs. So I'm going to pick the Broncos to win this. And then for Seahawks-Bears, I kind of feel similar. I don't think the Bears stand much of a chance in this game. Their offense is not going to be able to start off slow against the Seahawks, just because the Seahawks defense is just rock solid the entire game. And I just don't think they're going to get bullshit shenanigans in the fourth quarter. I'm just going to predict the Seahawks because I think the Seahawks are just the more talented team. They have the better weapons I don't even know if they have the better weapons on offense, but their weapons are comparable. And the defenses are like not comparable at all. And Rashid Shaheed is enough of an upgrade over what they had previously to where I think the Seahawks should just be able to pass all over them. And then for the Super Bowl, Seahawks-Broncos. The Broncos probably have a better defense. They have comparable offenses. I think the Seahawks offense is probably better, but it's inconsistent. Broncos offense is inconsistent. My only analysis here, I'm a JSN fan. I love Jackson Smith-Njigba, so I'm picking Seattle and JSN to win Super Bowl MVP and the Seattle Seahawks to win Super Bowl 60. Thank you for watching this video. Hope you enjoy my predicts. I am very confident that probably the first game I predict, whichever I think Rams-Panthers. I wouldn't be shocked if the Panthers just win this and ruin my whole bracket immediately. But I thank you so much for watching this video and have a good rest of your day. Thank you.